Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Combining the Old and the New, Best Practices for FIDO2 and PIV PKI for Zero Trust. Brought to you by Axiad and our friends at FIDO Alliance today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jessica Pham, and I will be moderating today's discussion. So, we are going to learn a lot from our speakers today. They will be going and guiding you through the ins and outs of FIDO and how the standard can help put you on the right path towards Zero Trust. And then they'll be answering your live questions. So skip through this slide. We're going to be joined by two industry experts today, Bassam, Al-Khalidi, co-CEO of Axiad with over 15 years of experience in the identity management space, and David Turner, Director of Standards Development at FIDO Alliance with over 20 years of experience in building standards for organizations. Again, we will be hosting a live Q&A towards the end of today's webinar. So if you have any questions throughout this talk, please submit them through the questions icon to your right. We will do our best to answer every question, but if we aren't able to get to yours, we will reach out via email. Also, if you have any technical difficulties throughout this webinar, you can click the support icon in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And with that, I will pass it off to you, Bassam.
Thank you, Jessica. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. It's really a pleasure to be joined by David to talk about this really important topic and quite a hot topic today of how can we achieve zero trust with industry standards like FIDO and like PKI and like PIV and others. So how do we get to that journey and how do we get to that finish line? From an Axiad perspective, we really look at how can we secure users and machines and also the digital transactions. Our platform is a comprehensive platform that really looks at every single transaction that's happening within the company and give you that passwordless enterprise-wide orchestration. So we're not looking at how can we achieve passwordless for 80, 90% in the organization. We're truly trying to look at how can we help an organization down a path leveraging standards like FIDO to get 100% coverage on passwordless for users, regardless of what they're trying to interact with. Really high level on how do we achieve that and how do we get there, and of course, David has the bulk of the items of kind of going into the detail on how we leverage FIDO2 and the FIDO2 standard. But as I mentioned, Axiad is really a turnkey cloud platform that can plug and play into your existing IAM, whether using Azure or something similar to that. But really, the goal is to be able to provide that comprehensive passwordless experience from an authentication perspective, regardless what application you're trying to log into. So whether that's logging into a machine, whether you're in online, offline mode. And what I mean by machine, that's in all the different flavors, whether it's Windows, Mac, Linux, authenticating to Office 365. And as we see in the future with CBA coming, a certificate-based authentication coming to Office 365 with Microsoft. Third-party business applications, leveraging FIDO2 to authenticate to them at any time from anywhere. And of course, not forgetting key elements within the organization that we still need to go passwordless, whether they're RDP, VDI, VPN, et cetera, et cetera. Beyond that, even securing other digital interactions like email, documents. So Axiad gives the capability of signing an encrypted email and also signing documents as well. And last but not least, we can't say we want to secure all the transactions if we don't talk about machine-to-machine, the services, APIs. All these also need to be addressed and need to have a secure authentication or secure digital identity across the board. So we talked about every single use case, every single endpoint. Then the challenge becomes, well, how are we going to do this across the board? And today we're going to look at how, by leveraging some of the existing industry standards today, adding FIDO2 to it, how we can really get to that bound and unbound different authenticators, and how Axiad provides all these different types of authenticators to really get you on the right path and accelerate the passwordless adoption within your organization. I'll hand it over to David to kind of walk through from a FIDO overview and what Axiad is implementing with the FIDO standard, and what other organizations are also doing with the FIDO standard. What we love about FIDO, it's really an industry-wide standard, and adoption for it is growing at a rapid pace. And of course, we're very glad to have David here to walk us through it. David?
Thanks. So let me get the slide controls. There we go. So going to give an overview of kind of where we are with FIDO today, and then where we're going, and kind of what's new really as of now. New has already started as of about a week ago, but I'll get to that in a moment. So FIDO today is some said is already getting recognized as a key way of doing authentication, second factor, as well as passwordless. Key reasons for that is that it's deeply integrated into all platforms and browsers these days, the exception of Linux. But on Windows, Android, Mac and iOS, in the browsers, Chrome, Edge, Safari, the support for FIDO and WebAuthn is an integral part of those platforms. And so anyone who's building a solution can just presume that the support exists on the platforms that they want to use. It's all standardized, which means you get higher confidence in interoperability, again, smoothing the path for the rollouts, for adoption, because the users will have a consistent experience across devices. And of course, most importantly, FIDO is a phishing-resistant form of multi-factor authentication. So FIDO-based solutions have a number of key factors. One is they increase the security of just the idea of a two-factor authentication system in general. More importantly, though, there are phishing-resistant, FIDO solutions are phishing-resistant forms of a second factor. I will emphasize, though, that even though a lot of the OTP and out-of-band mechanisms are phishable, and while I'm clearly promoting the adoption of FIDO, it's really important for people to understand that any two-factor authentication solution is better than none. So, if you're not ready to take those leaps yet, and I can't encourage you more, emphasize more, get two-factor authentication built in, and hopefully it'll be easy to make that FIDO, especially with good products that are available. And the nice thing is that because of the integration of things, it in some cases makes the use of FIDO simpler, largely from a deployment standpoint with respect to, say, smart cards and so on. Certainly doesn't remove them, certainly doesn't replace them, but the goal is that it helps simplify in a number of scenarios. So what we have today is two forms of FIDO Authenticator. And the Authenticator is the key element to how FIDO works. It's what generates the public-private keys that are used for the cryptography that is used for the authentication. So there are no passwords being sent back and forth over the wire, because it's all based on public key cryptography. What we have are the security keys, which tend to be fobs. As you can see from the little graphic there, it's a USB. In this example, it's a USB plug-in device. It could also be accessed through NFC. It can also be accessed through Bluetooth. So there's a number of form factors and interfaces available for the use of a security key. We also have the ability to support what are called built-in platform authenticators. And these use the secure hardware, whether it's TPM, secure element, of the devices device that you may be using. It could be a laptop, could be desktop, could be a mobile device. And so instead of carrying the key around, the device that you have provides the backing and is used for the creation, again, processing of the public and private keys. There are limits. As far as FIDO has come, we recognize that there are a number of challenges. One of which is, if you're using the security keys, clearly this creates extra friction. You need to get the keys, you need to acquire the keys, you need to distribute the keys in many cases. If keys are lost, you have challenges with account recovery in some cases. So while it's a very good solution, the physical key aspect can be an inconvenience for some users, especially in the large-scale consumer environments. The use of platform authenticators is helpful, except that it also has some issues with account recovery. If you lose the particular machine, you need to re-register your credentials with the same service providers that you connected to the first time. And when you combine all of these things, especially with things like some of the account recovery challenges, trying to recover keys that you've created previously, these have created some higher barriers to adoption for a lot of users, and especially in the consumer space, in enterprise and even government environments, where there's more control over the solution. It's easier to help manage things like account recovery and identity proofing for account recovery. So a lot of these barriers really have been most impactful in the consumer environment. So where we've been and where we're going. So FIDO first rolled out primarily focused on the use of the key fob, saw on the previous picture. It progressed so that you can now take advantage of your own laptop or your phone as the key generator for doing the seamless passwordless login. And where we're moving next, and that red thing really needs to move right up against that blue circle now, because we're kind of there, and I'll get to that in just a moment, is something we've called passkey. And passkey really is not a change to FIDO, as I'll describe in a minute, but rather an evolution of the system as a whole and some extra convenience factors that have been added to the system.
To watch the full video, click the link below to our Bright Talk channel. For more Axiad content, click subscribe.